this lesson, we're going to review dependable drop-down lists within Microsoft Excel. The typical use case for a dependable drop-down list is to allow for an efficient workflow to be created. This will allow you to create rules and ultimately enforce that a specific set of subcategory gets chosen once a category is chosen from a pick list. So you'll actually have two pick lists. You'll have a master pick list, and then you'll have a dependable pick list that will vary depending on what is chosen in the first pick list. And really what this does is it strengthens the accuracy of the selection made and ensures that erroneous errors are not made. This can be useful when working with a lot of data, when you have the potential to implement categories and subcategories. It can also be particularly useful when sharing a worksheet with other people and asking them to complete a certain drop-down form and providing them with a sheet that has the drop-downs set up to drive the results. Let's look at some examples. So you can apply dependable drop-down lists to wherever you have the notion of a category and a subcategory. So I've outlined a few examples here. Industries is one of them. So you can have an industry category like arts and marketing with a number of subcategories underneath it, like broadcasting, graphic design, photographer, publisher. Another category would be event planning, where you're going to have subcategories like DJs, caterers, entertainers, wedding planners, and wedding venues. You can also have a category for something like business services, where you've got employment agencies, recruiters, consultants, printing services. So the main drop down would be the arts and marketing, or the category column, and then you'd have a dependable drop down that changed depending on which category was selected. So if you selected the category arts and marketing, then the dependable drop down would show options available for that industry in particular, so broadcasting through publisher. Dependable drop downs can also be used for things like expense categories, and I've outlined a few examples here. We've got cost of revenue, sales and marketing, operating expenses, and other expenses, and the subcategories obviously differ between those expense categories. You're going to have a different chart of accounts for those categories. Additionally, you can apply dependable drop downs to things like a sales segment. So if you have a sales force and each of those sales reps that you have target different segments depending on their expertise, then you can break up the sales reps into different segments. Like, let's say you have a commercial, mid-market, and enterprise segment where your sales team is divided up between those three segments, and some of the sales reps focus on commercial, lower end type customers which have $0 to $20 million in revenue. And then you have a mid-market sales rep who focuses on just mid-market size clients, those which have $20 to $100 million in revenue. And then you have enterprise grade account executives who focus on just large prospects and large companies, those with $100 million in revenue. So let's take a look at the steps in order to create the dependable dropdown. The first step is to really create your list of the names according to the criteria. The examples that I created are on screen here. Let's assume that we've got a couple different sources of revenue here for an electrical company, and then we've got some administrative costs. So in this case, the two types of revenue that sit underneath the revenue category are the dependable dropdowns, and the different types of expenses are the subcategories, if you will, of the administration cost. So we've got our list made, and now we need to convert each of the lists into a table. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight the data, and then we're going to go to Insert in the top navigation pane, and then we're going to click on Table. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we've got the correct data highlighted in the table here. The data does have a header, so I'm going to make sure that's checked on. And now that I've got a table set up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to name this table up in the left corner here under Table Name, and I'm going to call it Revenue Table. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the administration cost, and I'm going to go to Insert, Table, and apply the same idea, and I'm going to call this administration cost table. Now that I have my two tables set up, this is what they look like. So now what I need to do is, now that I've got my table set up for revenue and administration cost, I need to assign the headers as being the first category of the pick list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the revenue and administration cost headers. I'm going to go to formulas, and then I'm going to go to name manager, and I'm going to create a new name. I'm going to call it pick list headers. And in the refers to section, I'm just going to highlight the two cells, revenue and administration cost, and click OK. So now I've named the headers and I've got my two tables set up. The next step in creating the dependable drop-down list is to create lists and names for the subordinate data. So in this case, what I did was I created a name for the subordinate data for revenue. And so for these two items here, the electrode and gas, I highlighted them and I called them revenue 1. And then for the administration costs, I highlighted them and I called them administration costs 1. So I'm going to create a new name for the dependable drop-down list. For the revenue ones, I'm going to call them revenue items. And so I'm going to go to the name manager, click new, call it revenue items, and then click OK. And then I'm going to close that. I'm going to highlight the administration cost items. I'm going to highlight them, go to name manager, click new, and I'm going to call them administration items. And then I'm going to click OK and close. So now that I've created a name for the headers, i.e. the pick list headers, and I've created the names for the revenue list and the administration cost list, I can now use these in action. So what I'm going to do is for the header, i.e. the account name, I'm going to click on the cells where I want that to appear. And let's try doing that here. And I'm going to then go to data and data validation. And then I'm going to click on list. And as you can see, the account type 1 is selected, which is really just these two cells here, which I originally set, revenue and administration cost. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And because the name manager is set up for that, I can go ahead and choose from the drop-down list, and revenue and administration cost both appear as options from the pick list. And then the cell to the right of it, what I'm going to do is follow these steps here. What you need to do is you need to go to data validation, select list from the allow section, and this is very important. You have to type in indirect and then the reference cell. Note that the reference cell should be the reference cell to the left of it, so the account list that we previously created. And just make sure that you don't lock any of the cells, because what you want to do is be able to drag this down later. So let's go ahead and try that. I'm going to go to data validation. I'm going to choose list, put in indirect equals indirect, and then I'm going to reference the cell to the left of it. I'm going to remove the dollar signs because I don't want it locked, and then I'm going to press OK. And now that I've used the indirect function to look up the names, the account names, as a pick list, I can click on the drop down beside the revenue account name, and you can see the two options appear for the electrode and gas. Alternatively, if I were to choose the other option for the account name, i.e. administration cost, then I'll have different options that appear in the account type, i.e. office rent, entertainment, and all of the expense accounts. So how this works is there's an indirect lookup being performed against the account name, which gives it the items available in the drop-down list. Note that I can drag down the list, and that'll work because I didn't lock the cell. So if I go back up to account name and I drag this formula down and I just copy it down, I can also copy down this subcategory to the right of it and it'll still work. So for instance, if I change cell C113 to revenue, and then I look at the drop down beside it, only revenue items appear as options now. Let's look at one more example here. In our example, a financial analyst has some account names according to their types in a reference table below. Separately, the financial analyst has transactional data in the below table as raw data. The financial analyst is required to fill in the table in the raw data with the account type and the account name that's relevant. So here we've got the reference data, so the different categories and subcategories. We've got property, plant, and equipment with laptop and furniture and fixtures underneath it, trade and other receivables with available options, trade and other payables, cost of sales, revenue, and administration costs with some subcategories underneath it of different expense accounts. Note that I've already filled in some of the data here in columns C and D with the account type and the account name. So the account type is the headers here, property, plant, equipment, trade and other receivables, all the way over to administration costs. The account name is the name of the individual accounts that exist underneath the account types. So let's see how this works. If I select property, plant, and equipment from the pick list, which is one of the available account types, I'm only going to be presented with options associated with the property, plant, and equipment, which is laptop, furniture, and fixtures. On the other hand, if I were to choose trade and other receivables, then the options that are available to me are only the ones relevant under that account type. So only those account names underneath that account type. And that's consistent with the pick list up here. So this is a valuable way of sending someone data to fill in if you don't want them to mess anything up and you don't want to explain to them how the different categories and subcategories work. Just create a pick list for them instead so that they can fill it in accordingly. Notice that if I try to fill in a value within one of the cells, it won't let me. So that's another great reason why setting up pick lists prevents erroneous errors. If you're to send this spreadsheet to someone and tell them to fill it in with columns C and D, they can't just type in values because there's a data validation set up such that it'll only allow you to choose from the pick lists. So I'm going to undo that. Let's take a look at some of these other ones down here. So what would the sale of the electrode fall under? Well, that's revenue. So I'm going to choose revenue from the account type. And then from the account name, I'm going to choose the electrode here. And as you can imagine, I could go ahead and continue to fill all these in. But let's take a look at how the data validation was set up. It's very similar to the way in which we set it up in the previous example. First of all, we created the name manager for the different headers up here. So if I go to name manager, I can see that these are set up as account types. I highlighted them, and you can see that it's referencing cells C186 through H186, which is what I'm looking at here. So those are set up as account types, and these individual ones here, these ones have names as well. So if I were to go down to property, plant, and equipment, you can see that a table was set up for property, plant, and equipment. So I gave it that name. So just a reminder, you need to create a name for the headers, and then you also need to create a table so that each of these sections are recognized as a table. And then once I've got the name set up and the table set up, I can go down to these cells. I can click on one of them, go to data, data validation. And as you can see, the data validation that's set up here is a list, and it's referencing the account type. And account type was the name that we gave to these headers up here: the property, plant, and equipment, trade and other receivables, trade and other payables, cost of sales, revenue, administration costs. So those are going to be the options that appear in these drop downs. And then the data validation that exists for account name is an indirect lookup of the account type. So let's go to data validation. And you can see that it's an indirect reference to cell 211. Again, it's not locked so that we can drag it down. It's set up as a list, and that's all that you need to do. So a fairly useful tool in Microsoft Excel. It's one that's often not looked. A lot of people tend to use tables, they tend to use pick lists, but very seldom do I see dependable drop-down lists used. And I think it really helps to prevent some erroneous errors, especially if you're going to be working with data that ultimately needs to get uploaded to a CRM or an ERP system. You really want clean data, And so this is just one way in which you can ensure that data is maintained with integrity. Hey guys, thanks for watching this lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, I'd really appreciate a like and subscribe from you. And if you want to learn more about Microsoft Excel, check out these videos above. And don't forget to check out our website, commercecurve.com, where we have lots of in-depth finance and accounting courses available with full training workbooks. All of our courses come with complete workbooks of lessons, examples, pre-built financial models, and training video. Hope to see you there.